Hey guitar legends, Sam Wild here. We're looking at Riders of Rohan today from Lord of the Rings in a fingerstyle. This is from the medley I put together. There are 5 tunes. All of the links are in the description for all of the other songs, as well as my cover of all 5. So this piece, if you have a look at the whole tab here, we have about 16 bars to learn, and there is some repetition, so you can pick it up fairly quickly. All right, so let's look at the first bar. So you'll notice there's actual chords, A minor to begin with, then a G major shape, then a C major shape. And we go to D after that. So when you're playing this, you can think about the chords, particularly in this first half of the piece of music, all right? So get your A minor chord shape ready. We're gonna start with the thumb on the A string. Okay, you can have your pinky resting on the body if you need to. That kind of gives you a nice anchor point. We're going to play the thumb, and then with the index finger you can play the G string 3 times. Alright, then I have the second finger on the B string to pluck that B1 note. Then we're going to change shape to this G major shape, right? You don't have to play your typical G major shape, although you can do if you want, but you need to have the open B string there. So it's just one note pushed in, right? Third finger on E3, which means the thumb has to obviously move up to the E string. And we're also playing G and B string at the same time with first and second finger. Right, so all together. Then you go to your C major shape. The thumb is going to move down to the A string for this C major shape. And again, index and middle finger are still in the same place, G and B string for this whole bar, right? Then we have D major with F sharp in the bass, so your thumb needs to come over to get that E2 note in the bass. And then here, it's not like a typical D major shape, it's because we need to have the third finger available for the additional melody. So have finger 1 on G2 and finger 2 on B3. Alright, so try and play the first bar with this tagged on to the end, like so. We'll play that G string again. Okay, then there's a background melody. You don't have to do this. You could just play this and just let it ring if you want to. But you can also play this tag on melody. Now to do this, you have third finger here on D4, then we play G2 again, and then can you see we have open G, so the first finger needs to come away, like that, and then we bring it back down and hit G2 again, so all together. Now the timing is strange here, okay? For this little melody here, the timing is peculiar. So you can count, if that makes it easier, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, it's almost like it's delayed and it's kind of played 3 in 3 time. So it's a little bit off the beat. But as long as you get it in before the next bar finishes, comes in, sorry. Then it works, right? So try and play both of these first two bars, and then you can go into the third bar. Which is the same, except this C chord. Can you see how this time we've added in the E string? Okay, so I tend to play 4 strings at once here for the C chord. So I bring my third finger in 2 and play the E string. If you don't like to use your third finger, just play the bottom 2 notes and don't have the G string. Because that way you can still use fingers 1 and 2 and just miss the G string out, that's fine. Or use all of the fingers as I do, right? So the third bar sounds like this. Okay, now fourth bar we have. So to begin with, we have D major, but just so it's easier to get to the next shape, I advise using this particular shape here where the first finger is barred. Right, so really pull and drag the first finger into the strings to make sure that it sounds clear. And then you can stretch the pinky across to E5 for the second shape. Still D major. Alright, now if you struggle with these chord shapes, you can just play the top 2 notes like so. Right, you don't have to get G2 in there, it doesn't have to be there. You can just use the bass note on the D string and just play the top note. Much easier. However, kind of helps you play that. I like to get all of them in. Even from the A string you can play. But I tend to just play the bottom 4 strings here, alright? And again we have this extra melody. So it starts with G2, then B3, and then we have to move the pinky up here to B5 and B3 again. So alright, let's try and play the whole of this first line. Pause the video and practice it first if you want to. For those of you that want to take your playing to the next level, make sure you sign up to my premium membership website. You'll gain access to all my backing tracks, all of my lessons, and I'll teach you how to improvise, solo, and play advanced chords. Enjoy the rest of your lesson, guys. Alright, let's try and play this whole first line together. Pause the video and practice it first if you need to. Right, there is a play along at the end obviously, but just for now we'll just try and do one line a little bit slower. Ready, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Okay, now we get to the second line. So you can see there's some repetition here as well, because it's still a minor G, C, D, right? So it's kind of like we have the same thing 3 times, just with different variations, right? So this time, there's more notes thrown in there. So my advice is to play with the thumb for that D string note, for D2. And then index finger can stay on the G string where it's been for pretty much the whole of this piece so far. So just work on that intro part. Then we have, it's like the first bar, G is the same. And then C, we have an extra B string note. Can you see that? B1 happens twice. So together. Right? Then second bar. A little bit more stripped back, a little bit easier than the other times we had this chord. We just alternate with the D string and the G string. Right. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now finally we're going to have some different chords. Dun, 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 dun. So we have E minor this time. Dun, 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 then C again. And we're going to play the E string. And you need to make sure you get the B string in there because that is the melody note. Right. But I like to do a roll. So I go thumb, index, middle, and third, which gives it a little bit more effect. Then we'll play the G string again. And then we're going to do a slide into the 4th fret. You don't have to slide, you can just move there in advance. Like that. I quite like to slide. And then one more G string at the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, and. 1, 2, 3, 4, and. Then the last bar, you want C major chord in position. So I tend to just keep my fingers where they are to begin with. So I use thumb and second finger to play these first 2 notes. Then index finger on that D string, on D2. And then you can move down at this point, just for those last 2 notes, B1 and open E string. Okay, so thumb and middle, index, then move down and use fingers 2 and 3. There. Again, if you don't like using your third finger, you don't have to, so you can do it like this. Alright, you don't have to use the third finger. I just tend to do it just so I don't have to move as much. Alright, on to the second half of this piece of music. We basically go up an octave, which is really nice. So, and there's repetition again, okay? So we're going to start with the open A string, and you want to have first finger here on E5. Now you can add vibrato if you want to that third note. Your thumb has to move down to the G string for that particular note. Right, then we have to play C major. I like to do it like this. There are different ways to do this. You can just have bass note and top note. You can add all the notes as I do. Right, so first finger bars on the 8th fret, B and E string. Middle finger is on G9, and the thumb comes over to E8, right? If you can't get your thumb over, you can just put your third finger here on D10. Doesn't sound as good because it's not as bassy as this, but it is an option if you can't get the thumb over. Alright, so practice going from the first part into this chord. Like that. Then we slide up 2 frets, and you can either have the thumb over which is quite tricky, and I didn't realize this until recently, but you could just play the D string instead. It's the same note. You hear that? So you don't have to have the thumb over here because we have open D instead. Okay, so again we play all 4 strings, D string, right? So together. And then we'll hit the B string again. And then we'll do the G string. And then we'll do B string again, so. And again. Then the third finger comes down to G12 on the G string. Like that. And then we'll play the B string again to finish. Alright, so you want to try and practice these first 2 bars together first. Do it nice and slowly like so. And again. Now we're going to do the same thing to begin with, but then we're going to have to get a higher note in there, right? So it starts the same. So here we want to get the low C note in, but that's a huge stretch, so it's easier if we just play here instead. So index finger is on D10 and pinky is on E12. Alright, so the second time. Right, then so this part here is the same as, it's just D major, it's what we played before, but up here, right? Now there is that nice dun dun, so we can play, I just tap the finger on and then pull it off, so I tap and then pull off. Now, I realise some of you don't have this cut body like I do. Right, I have a nice gap to get these top notes. So, instead of playing C here and D here, you can just play regular C. And you can tap on E7. Okay, so if you don't have this cut, this is what you're going to play. C, D. Right, if you do have the cut bit like I do, you can play it like this. Now, regardless of whether you play it down the octave or up the octave, we're going to have this leading note on E7, which is going to bring us into the second line. Alright, so this whole line so far, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Then we're going to go into the next part now. Okay, we're on to this final line now, guys, so well done for getting this far. We're on that last kind of quarter now. So to begin with, we have this, lots of open strings. The first string is still here on E7, even though we just played it. We're going to play it twice. Then you can add finger 2 to B8. And then I tend to slide up with my third finger. I slide into G11, right? Right, but you could play here on B7. It's the same note. I just quite like getting the slide effect. Then we have 3 fast notes to bring us into the next chord, right? So I tend to use fingers 2 and 3 to play these 3 notes. So finger 2 is on G11, finger 3 is on B12, and then you can bring that up to B13. Then we have our D shape again that we played before. You can use the pinky instead on that B13, but you have to have quite a strong pinky to do that. Some of you might find it easier to just jump the third finger up. It's totally up to you. Okay, then we have this shape again that we played before. You can add the A string as well if you want to, or have the thumb over whatever, or just play from the D string. So all together. So once we've done the full strum, we're going to play B string, G string. Right? Then 3 fast notes again. So we already have these first 2 notes ready from our D shape. So we can leave the first finger where it is for those first 2 notes. Then you can see we have E12. Make sure you use the pinky for that. And then we just add, for the next bar, we just add D10 with the index finger. So all together we have so for this third bar, quite simple. We start with this shape that we've already played before, kind of the C major shape. So pinky still here on E12, first finger on D10, but then the third finger needs to come onto the G string, fret 12, and then you move the pinky up to B13, so see how it moves up there? Then we bring the first finger down to E12, we play it twice, once on its own, and then once with all the open strings, low E, G, B, and the note itself. So this part, we have this nice melody walk down. So the way I play this is I add a harmonic. Can you hear that? Right, you can just play B12 and push the middle finger into that. That's fine. Or do a harmonic. So to do a harmonic, remember you don't put your finger over the space, you put it right over the actual metal fret on B12, right? You don't push it in, you just rest the finger on it and you get this effect. And you can take it away as soon as you pluck. Take it away just to give it space to vibrate. Right, so So my middle finger is here, right? I'm not in the space, right? I'm just towards the body over the 12th metal fret, right? Not pushed in. So, but again, you can just push it in if you want to. Essentially, we're trying to play. And then we have this C minor chord to finish, which you can play like this with the thumb over. You could play a full bar chord. You could play it down here on fret 3 if you really want, although I prefer getting that higher note in there. Okay, so again, this last part, I put finger 3 here on G14, then finger 2 I'll use for G12, and then you can either use finger 1 or 2 for G11. So this whole final line sounds like this. Now when you do the harmonic, it will just keep ringing as long as you don't touch the string. So you can try really hard to kind of curve the fingers around the B string so that you don't touch it, and then it'll keep ringing. You can even play around with this a little bit, like so. Just alternate between the melody notes like so. Right. Just keep adding in the harmonics, which is cool. Alright guys, that's everything. Covered now the full 16 bars of music. So the play along is coming up now. You can try to play along with me. My advice is to just keep pausing the video and practicing each bar as you're doing this. You can also slow it down. Don't forget, just press the YouTube cog icon and go playback speed 0.75, and you can just try and play to it really slowly, which is definitely easier in the beginning. Alright, good luck with it. If you found this lesson helpful, please give it a thumbs up, a like. Make sure you subscribe as well, hit that notification bell icon. Alright, good luck with the play along. I'll see you in the next video.